Hello guys, welcome back onto the channel. Does clean racing exist in Forza Horizon 3? Watch the video and you're gonna find out. So I'm driving the BMW M1, it's upgraded to the top of the A class. I think this car in the stock configuration already sits in the A class, but I upgraded it to the top of the class just to make it a little bit faster. But this car is really fast and I think it's one of the fastest cars in A class, but it's a little bit too slidey, so it requires a certain level of skill in order to keep it under control. Nothing impossible, but there's definitely a learning curve attached to it. Now I want you to pay attention to the guy in second place, Lowsim Forever. I don't even know if I'm properly pronouncing his nickname, but I want you to pay close attention to him because he's the perfect example of what a clean racer should be in an online racing game. And he's driving the Holden Torana, which is an awesome car for A class. It's a very quick car, not as quick as mine, but it definitely has better handling than the BMW that I'm driving. So you're gonna see a lot of battling going on between us, and in some situations it's gonna have the upper hand, in some others I'm gonna have the upper hand. But it's gonna be a really interesting video in this regard. And you're gonna see right now that he had the opportunity to just dive into the inside and take the first place, but he decided to back out. That's when I first realized that I was dealing with someone who was a clean racer in Forza Horizon 3, which is a very hard thing to come by in this game. Forza Horizon 3 is notoriously bad for having a lot of dirty players, dirty racers in general, and I think it comes with the fact that the game is an arcade race, so there's not a whole lot of people committed to actually learning the game and racing properly as you would in more serious racers. Like I'm not even gonna use Forza Motorsport 7 as an example because it's not an example of clean racing, but let's talk, for example, GT Sport. That game is the type of game where people are gonna dedicate hours upon hours into learning the cars, into learning the tracks, so the quality of the racing in that game is definitely higher. So it's definitely hard to come by this type of clean racers in Forza Horizon 3 for sure. So in this track I think I have the upper hand because most of this track is straight, and the very few turns that we have I'm able to take them mostly flat out. In some of them I just have to lift off for a couple seconds or just for a brief moment and I'm good to go. So I think I'm gonna have the upper hand in this track in specific. But as you can see, when there are these sharp turns, this second place definitely gains a lot on me. And I was on the edge of my seat in this race because I knew that he was fast, I knew that he was clean, so the quality of the racing and the level of ability that I would have to display in order to fend him off and keep my position would be a lot higher than I normally would have to deal with in a normal situation in Forza Horizon. Usually all I have to worry about is not getting screwed up. That's all I have to think when I'm racing online in Forza Horizon 3. I don't even need to think about taking the corners properly. As long as I stay out of the carnage, I should be fine, I should be getting to the first place. But when you're dealing with the type of racers like this guy, you not only need to watch out for the carnage because you can afford to get involved into an accident, otherwise your racing is gone, and you also need to pay attention to the lines that you take in order to be a little bit more defensive and be a little bit faster around the corners. Otherwise, this guy is gonna catch up to you very quickly. Moving on to the second race of the video, Rolling Meadow Circuit. I have no idea what the circuit is, I don't even know why I read the track name. And this guy messaged me, I thought he was gonna, I don't know, call me names or anything, but he just asked me if I had put a V10 engine in my BMW. I have no idea what kind of engine this BMW has. I downloaded a tune setup a couple months ago. Don't even remember who the tune setup was by, but I wasn't able to answer to his question. There was a little bit of contact in the beginning of this race, which is to be expected in this game, but I'm up in second place. The fast and clean racer from the other race is in first place, driving the Holden Torana, and I'm gonna have the upper hand on straights, but this track has a lot more turns than the other ones, so I think he's gonna have a certain advantage over me in this one. I think that's a given. But as you can see, I'm keeping fairly close to him, and of course I'm gonna try to respect him as much as I can. He almost backed out, but I gave him enough space to keep going because he had the first place. I was the one who tried to dive bomb him, and of course that didn't work, so I didn't want to screw him up. I backed out a little bit. He kept the first place, but I'm still pretty close to him, and I'm gonna try to go for the inside. I'm gonna give him enough space in order not to make contact with him. He hits the wall, that's fine, he doesn't lose a lot of speed, and we're keeping fairly close, and that's the type of racing that gets me excited. It's so uncommon for me to get this quality of racing that whenever it happens, it's a whole nother level of adrenaline. So much so that I tried to anticipate the corner and I ended up missing the checkpoint, so that's gonna cost me a lot in this race. And at this point I have absolutely no chance of catching up to this guy. He's just too quick. We're pretty much leveled when it comes, I think, to racing ability. I think the only difference that it's gonna make or break or racing is our car choice and the track that we're gonna be placed on. These are, I think, the only two deciding factors on whether or not I'll get the first or second place. And since I screwed it up, I'm back in fourth place. Not as bad as I thought. Usually this game takes a long time to put you back into the track. You usually get stuck into a black screen that takes literally forever for you to be put back onto the track. So it didn't take a long time, and I didn't lose a lot of time. But as you can see, the first place is 15 seconds ahead, almost 16 seconds ahead, and it's completely out of my reach at this point. I'm on the last lap. This guy makes a mistake. I don't know if I caused it. He has lag. I don't know if I actually pushed him out wide, but he somehow manages to overtake me again. He cuts back and gets his position back, but he cannot compete with my BMW on a straight line. My BMW is a lot faster than most cars in this lobby. I would dare to say that my BMW is the fastest car in the lobby overall, but of course there are going to be better handling cars than mine. That's definitely the case here. So I'm gonna have to settle for a third place finish. Not bad considering that I missed the checkpoint, but I'm gonna see if I do any better over the next race. Moving on to the third race of the video. It's nighttime. It's not my favorite time of day to race, to be honest. I prefer daylight when it comes to racing, but it is what it is. So I'm starting almost at the back of the pack, and usually I find this to be a good thing in this game. I usually don't like to start out at the front, especially so when we have sharp turns like this one, because usually people are gonna try to run you out wide or try to just ram you off the track, and that's gonna screw your race. And that same guy is on my tail. He's in the second place, pretty close. So any mistake that I make over the course of this race is gonna cost my position. That's definitely the case here, and especially so because this track has a lot of turns right at the beginning. I don't know the entirety of this track, but in the beginning there are a lot more corners than I wish we would have. So he's gonna gain a lot of me. I'm trying to be as defensive as possible without being a dirty racer. He is a skilled player, so he managed to get around me fairly easily, and he took up the first place. So from this point on, I'm gonna try to concentrate into keeping up with him, because he definitely has the upper hand here. He goes a little bit wide there. I thought he probably would get stuck onto that tree, but he didn't, unfortunately for me. So I think we're gonna have a chance to catch up to him over, I think, the last half of the track, because I can see a lot of straight lines coming up fairly quickly. Now, one of the hardest things about this BMW that I'm driving is that you cannot lift off the throttle completely when you're braking. Usually you have to trail brake a little bit in order to keep it under control, because if you lift off entirely off the accelerator, the car is gonna slide out pretty bad, and that's not gonna help you at all. So my advice when driving this BMW on the top of the A classes, whenever you're braking, especially when you're braking hard, do not lift off the gas entirely. Trail brake a little bit and you should be fine. You should be able to keep the car under control. Of course, there are going to be occasions where you want to brake faster, so you're going to have to lift off the gas entirely. But if it's an option for you, try to not lift off the gas entirely, so you can keep your car from sliding out too bad. So I have a straight line right at the end of this race. I brake a little bit because I don't want to ram him, and I'm gonna try to go for a move here. Let's see if I can get to the first place right before the finish line, and yes, I got to the first place. So that was definitely another example of clean racing. He had every chance to block me off on a straight line, and most people would actually block me off. And in some occasions they would even go as far as to try to push me off the track, so I'd lose not only my race but also a couple of positions before I got the chance to cross the finish line. But that wasn't the case here. He kept to his line and let me past him, and that was a fair game. That was a fair thing to do in that situation. Moving on to the last race of the video, again at night, not my favorite time of day, and we're gonna be starting out in second place. So I don't know if I'm happy or sad, but it all depends on whether or not we're gonna have a tight band right at the beginning of the race. And yes, we have a fairly tight corner right at the beginning of the race, so if I'm not careful, I'm gonna get rammed off pretty bad. But I managed to escape the carnage just fine, so that's all good. And as you can see, Lawson Forever is again on my tail, as I would have expected. He's a fairly quick guy, and man, that I really wish I came across this type of players more often in Forza Horizon, actually in any racing game, because you may think that it's, as you can see from most of my Forza Horizon videos, I win most of the races, and it's not because I'm selecting the races that I win to upload them to the channel. As a matter of fact, I win most of the races, but I don't think it's because I'm that good at the game. It's mostly because most people are really bad at this game. They spend a lot of time trying to block people off, try to ram people off, rather than focusing on the race, so they end up losing a lot of time and giving me the opportunity to just pull away right from the beginning of the race. And if you think that's fun, winning a lot of races, yes, it can be, but I find it fun when you win races against this type of guys, because this type of guys present a certain level of challenge that most other players don't. So when you're constantly winning races because people are bad at that, because people are wasting a lot of time trying to screw people up, it's not fun. You're pretty much racing with a bunch of people in the same lobby, but you're racing alone. You're not competing against anyone because people are too hung up into making other people's lives miserable. So whenever I have the chance to race with this type of racers, I love it. It's really fun when you manage to fight for the win. You try to do your absolute best, and as you can see, this guy is fairly close to me. Any mistake, any tiny mistakes that I make, he's gonna take advantage of it, and I'm gonna lose my position. And as you can see, pretty much the entire all of the races in this video, actually, are just between me and this guy. Where are the other racers? They are far behind because they probably spent a lot of time trying to screw people up. And as you could see on one of a couple corners ago, I kind of gave him space. I went to the other side of the track to give him enough space in case he wanted to go for a move and overtake me. He didn't, and he's pretty close, and I'm really tense about this. And I make a mistake. I get stuck onto that tire wall, and he takes the first place. Fair enough. It wasn't his fault. It was my own mistake, my own stupid mistake. But I don't mind. I don't mind at all losing for this type of guy because he's a clean racer. He plays fair, and he makes the racing more fun. And I just wish I came across this type of player more often. But anyways, that's been a really fun race for me. It's one of the best racing that I've had in this game in a long time. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you had fun watching this rare clean racing Forza Horizon 3. So if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more Forza Horizon 3 content, share the video with your friends and on your social media. It helps me out a lot and I really appreciate the help. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. The links are in the description down below or at the beginning of the video. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.